Hi everyone, it's Jenny. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me, and welcome to my new subscribers and my old subscribers. Thank you for being here. So what we're going to do today is I have been watching, I haven't done very many, in fact any sort of fun fold cards. So I saw Handmade by Shirley, and I'll tag her in this just so she can see that I'm doing one as well. But I followed her and I've already made one up. So basically you open the card like a gatefold, and then it opens up like that. I don't know what sort of fold you call this, but we're going to make this. We're going to attempt it. As I say, I've watched Shirley do this. So what I have got, I have prepped a lot of it so that I'm not being ages on the screen. So I'll just get my bits out the way because these are bits I might need. So you can start with a 12 by 12. And I've literally, depending on your pattern, I've just sliced it in half. So I've now got a 6 by 12. And I've got two pieces because we're going to require two pieces. One for the front of the card, which is this part, and then one for the back part. So it's quite thick card, so I'm happy that I don't need to back it anymore. It is double-sided. If you're using something thinner, you might probably want to maybe back it and make it a bit thicker, but I think I'm going to be okay with this. Now, when I watched Shirley do it, so this is going to be my front piece, and then I'm going to switch this round, so that's going to be the back, and then that's going to be the inside. So I'm going to start with the back piece of the card. So she's put it in her scorer, and she scored it at 6, she scored it at 3, and she scored it at 9. So by doing that, I'm thinking if I just fold it in half, that will be my 6, just for ease, basically, rather than, you know, if you haven't got a scoreboard, I'm just going to show you that you don't need one. So that's my score at 6, which is in half. And then in theory, if you take the end into the middle, that's going to give you your 9. And I'll just burnish that, which is there. And then if you bring the other side in, that is in effect going to give you your 3. I'll just burnish that. There we go. So you've then got your 3 score lines. Okay, so that's going to be your card, and you're going to open it up and we'll have the inside piece in there. So that's going to be the front of the card, that piece there. You need to do the same with this one, exactly the same. So we're going to fold it in half, or if you want to score it at 6. Just burnish it, make sure those folds are really good. And then again, I'm going to fold it in to the middle, which would be my 9. And I'm going to turn it the other way and score that way, which would be your 3 if you were scoring. So we've got basically 2 6 by 12 pieces, and they're both exactly the same. It is at this point that you can decide, because they're both the same, which one you want to be your front and which one you want to be your back. Now I'm going to have this one as the front and this one as the back. And actually what I want, so that's going to be the inside, like so, and that's going to be the back of the card. So I'm going to put that to the side, and then this is going to be the piece that opens out into the middle. So to make the piece in the middle, what we need to do is we need to take this corner, I'm just going to turn it this way, and we're going to fold it down like this, just before the score line, not right actually on the score line, so that we don't get any sort of overhang. So we're just doing that, and then we're going to do the same with this side. We're going to bring that down and to the score line and just make sure that those two don't touch, and then score that. So you've made it like that. Then we're going to open it up and we're going to turn it round, and we're going to do exactly the same corner to corner again. So we're going to go down to the corner, making sure I'm just slightly away from that score line so that we don't get any, it doesn't catch. And then we're going to do the other corner exactly the same, down to the score line, or just before the score line. I'm just going to burnish that as well. There we go. So then it should, if you've done your score lines properly, it should want to fold in. Now, why is it not going? There we go. Just needs a little bit of wiggle, like that, and you'll end up with something like that. So I'm happy with that. I'm just going to just burnish those again, and then basically once you've got that inside the card, it should, in theory, open up like that. However, I just realized I've done it the wrong way round. That doesn't matter, because I can just quickly turn it over and burnish that way. That was my mistake, because I folded it. But in effect, the folds are still there. I'm just doing them the other way. It's just so that when you open the card up, you've got this pattern on the inside, which is what I wanted. I didn't want it on the outside. Let's just fold that over. They're supposed to meet in the middle. There's a tiny bit of a gap, and I'll see if that matters. Okay. So then we should be able to bring it in, if it's playing ball with me. It's because I folded it the wrong way. Sorry, bear with me. Just it doesn't want to go now. Come on. Maybe because I did it that way, and I did it that way. Done it that way, and I've done it that way. There we go. And then I've done it that way. It's because I didn't, there, that way. Right, now we should fold in. Come on, what are you doing? It doesn't want to go, does it? I'm having to sort of make it go. There we go. Right. It just didn't want to go that way because I'd already forced it the other way, I think. So I'm just going to make sure that that's down properly. Let's re-burnish that again because I forced it to go the other way. Come on. Come on. There we go. No, you're not in. You need to go in like that. There we go. I've just had to make it go. So try and get it, try and get it the right way round first time. That does make life a little bit more difficult. Then, once that's in there, we can then open it up and it'll open like that. Perfect. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my, like I did on this one, I'm going to put my sentiment in the middle. So you probably want a 4x4 piece. I'm going to open it up just so that I can, because it's going to go in here. So I've cut out a black piece, which is 4x4, and I'm going to put that in the bottom there. And then I've also cut out, I should have maybe done it a bit, that's not really, is that piece there, which I'm going to put on top. I don't want it to be too bulky so that it does close. I do like that, but then I like the brown on top so that I can have my message. I can put my message on there. I don't think that's going to be too bulky. Let me just check. No, that will close okay. Right, so let's get this piece and glue this down first of all. Oh, you can use glue or tape, whichever you prefer. I'm just going to use glue. And let's get that in the middle. I'll try and get my gaps about the same all the way round. There we go. And this is going to be my Father's Day card. So that's why I've done it in sort of male themed colours. I don't mind about the writing because you're not going to see that once I've put the little piece in the middle. So I just want to get that equal before I stick it down, which is about equal there. And that piece I did slightly smaller. It was like 3 3/4, just took a tiny piece off. And then this piece that I'm putting in the middle is going to be, I think it's 3 by 3, 3 by 3. And then that's just going to sit in the middle like so. So let's pop that on there. And then I can put my sentiment or my message to my dad in the middle. And I just want to make sure that that's about right, which it is. There we go. Okay. And I'm doing this piece first because I think it's easier where you got it out, because once you've glued it in, it's going to be more tricky. Now, I was going to stamp on here as well because I'm going to put a little white sort of sentiment message. And I found these clocks, which I've got, which I think are really quite sweet. So I'm going to just put some black ink. I'm wondering whether I want that one in the middle. No, because that's too big, I think. So I think I'll just do a few of these, just stamp these ones on. Okay, so just using my black VersaFine Onyx black. I'm just going to put one there. One there. One facing in that way. And I'm going to put one up that way. So it's just 4. You're not going to see all of it because once I've put my sentiment in, it's probably going to cover up some of that. But I just thought that would give it something nice in the middle. There we go. I'm happy with that. Just make sure that's dry. Let me put my little clock back in there and then I can put that away because I don't need that again. I have got some happy Father's Day little sentiments there, which I could actually just put in the middle. There's my tweezers. Let's see. I think that's going to show up okay. Let's have a look. So it's going to be that way, so I need to get that about there. And then I want Father's Day. Happy with it there. Father's Day. Take that off. And I will find on, I'll probably handwrite my dad part, but I'll do that after I've finished the card. So that's that part. So then we need to just put it back together again, as we did, like so. Bring our piece in. and we are going to connect it to the middle of the card. Just make sure that that's not going to go over, and we need to get that right in. I see there's a tiny bit there which I think I'm going to have to just chop off just a little bit on the edge there, because it's just hanging over, which I'm hoping will be all right. Yeah, that's fine. That small piece there, that makes it in. Yeah, we're in then, because I just want to make sure it closes. Yes, it does. And the bottom isn't hanging over, so that'll go there. So what we want to do is we want to put glue all over the bottom, just to adhere that to the bottom of the card, keeping it up the right way, just checking. I want to make sure I've got it the right way and that I've got that in the centre, and that's not hanging over, and that closes fine. So there we go. So that's that part. And then what we want to do is we want to put some glue here on this triangle, and then we're going to bring this corner in and stick it down like so. And we're going to do exactly the same with this triangle. We're going to glue this down, and we're going to bring this side in and close. There's a tiny bit of glue coming out there. Let's just get rid of that. Now there is a slight gap there, so if I need to have pulled it in a little bit more, but I don't think you're going to see that. And then so when you open it, it's going to open up like that. But what we want to do to secure it is we want to make a belly band. So I need a piece of card that is going to go all the way round, and I didn't think about that, did I? That's not going to be long enough. So what I need to do is pause it a minute and go and get a piece that's going to be big enough. So I'll be back in just a moment. Right, I'm back. I've just got a plain piece of black, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a piece off here, and this is, I think this is going to be, should be 12. Oh, it might be just bigger than 12 actually. Yeah, it is. It's about 12 and a half, I think. But that's fine. As long as it's 12, then it will go round the card and it will meet in the middle. So I'm thinking I'm going to do it about 1, maybe 1.5 in width. Let's have a look. What's that? A bit longer, so I'm not going to get it quite. I'm thinking 1.5. Make sure that's straight, which it is. So I'm just going to cut that down there. Let's have a look. Yep, that's fine. So that's 1.5. And that hopefully will go round the card. So let me just make sure this is straight. I bring that down to there. I'm just making sure I get it on the line. Get it right about there, I think. So then if I bring that in, hold that in. I don't want it too tight because I want it to come off. So let's just make sure we've got a bit of and then if that's stuck together, is that going to be loose enough? Yes. Yeah, that's going to come off all right. Okay. So we're going to have that like that. So that's going to stick. Just put a piece on. Stick that on together. And that's going to be about there. I'm just going to hold that while I take it off. Oh, Okay, let's just stick that down, and I'm going to burnish those edges just so that they slide nicely, and that's going to hold the card together. But then I'm also going to make, so like we did in the middle, I've got the black card and I've got this. So I'm going to make a small piece, probably 3 by 3. So if I get my cutter out and I do a black square at, it's not straight, so let me do this bit here. A bit black square 3 by 3, 3 by 3, that's that piece. And then I want a piece just slightly smaller to go on the top, so I'm going to go to, what am I going to go, 2 3/8, I think. Yeah, 2 3/8. And then across again, 2 3/8. And then that should give me a little border. Yeah, there we go. Let's get rid of that and that. Don't need that. So it's just going to match the inside of the card. Piece of, it's going to be the same. I just haven't put the brown on the top, but that's fine. So what we want to do is to keep it in keeping. So put this piece, stick. I hope you're following along. I am going to link Shirley, Handmade by Shirley, because she has done this. This is who I'm sort of following. And if my instructions aren't great, then please head over and have a look at hers. So that's that piece. So when I put this on the front, I'm going to want to have it at the angle. So I'm just going to close that up, make sure I get it right. And I'm going to put that, slide that belly band on. This is where we find out I've done it too small. I'm hoping that's, gosh, I think I might have done it a bit tight. Okay, I have. So be careful with that. I've done it too tight. So I'm going to have to force that open, but we can do that. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. It's only just. So I'm just going to have to try and burnish that a little bit further. Just a tiny bit. There. That just gives us a bit wider. You won't see that. That's fine. So we've still got a tiny little bit there. So let's put another bit of glue on there. And you're not going to see this. And that will go there. So yeah, we were a little bit out there. Let's just stick that down. There. Now that should slide through a little bit easier now. There we go. There. And then that just goes on the card. I'm making this look more difficult than it actually is. There. That's because that bit's tan. There we go. Right. We're on. We're on. There we go. So then this bit, I'm going to do this as well so that it follows the edges. And then I'm going to put my sentiment on the front. So I just want this side and this side to be to be glued. So I just want to put a little bit there and a little bit there. And that's all. That way. So let's get that in the middle. There we go. Okay, and then we want a little bit of brown card to go in the middle because my writing is round the wrong way. So let me just get a bit of brown, tiny bit. See what I've got in my little stash here. Find something. I'm hoping I can find the same piece as I've got in the middle, and I think it's that. I think it's that one. No, it was that one. Let's just double check that, shall we? Let's take that off like that. Yeah, it was that piece. So I'm going to have to make this slightly smaller, because that was 3 7/8, wasn't it? So I'm going to do 2.5. 2.5 by 2.5. Put those in my scrap box, and then that will just glue on there. Okay, and then I'll do my message off camera, because that's going to go on the front for my dad. So I shall leave that on there. There we go. So just imagine there's a sentiment on there, and you've got your card, and you can pretty much do this. I thought it was going to be tricky. I did practice it twice before I came on camera, but Shirley really explained it well. So that was, where was my prototype? I sort of did one in paper, which, yeah, it didn't quite work out, but this one did once I'd got the measurements right, and that one opened up. So then this is the real one. So you've got your belly band, you take that off, and then you open your card, and it stands up quite nicely. And you've got your inside. You can see why you need it to be double-sided, and then it stands up like that. So that's it. That's my little fun fold card. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have a go at it. And yeah, take care everyone, and do hit that like button if you like it and you're not subscribed. Please think about subscribing, and take care. Crafty hugs, and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.